Shall we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to move to student reports.
Hello. We are the school student representatives of Seabrook Middle School this year. We're happy to present our school. My name is Aiden Rodignoli, this is Becky Weicher, and this is Dylan Burrow. And we're in 8th grade.
School-wide, we enjoyed a sunny, wonderful day in Manchester at the Fisher Cats game, experiencing some fantastic STEM activities and watching the Fisher Cats win. We had an awesome flex day in celebration of our continued academic successes, where students participated in choice activities for the second half of the day. 5th graders have been excited as they watched their class pumpkin Jack come to life and suddenly bloomed, causing great excitement across the 5th grade. They've also just begun reading the Phantom Tollbooth in LA, and they are all anxiously waiting for the arrival of the baby chickens currently incubating in Miss Lankoff's room.
The 6th graders explored Strawberry Bank on a beautifully sunny day and learned about life back in the day. Students had the exciting opportunity to explore Strawberry Bank to build background knowledge of settler life and trades in the New World. We have been working very hard on setting goals and planning for success for our SAS testing coming up.
The 7th grade also has been working really hard for SAS testing, setting goals and preparing for success. In social studies, students participate in 5 station movement activities centered on global oil connections. Students are setting goals for both reading and writing to see high growth and achievement. In science, it was all about waves. Students used a learning menu on Monday to learn about light waves. Students also conducted an investigation with the Motion Center to learn more about the amplitude of frequency of wave.
In 8th grade, we are looking forward to meeting our baby chicks hatching in Miss Sherborne's room, and we have finally all began reading The Outsiders. We are getting so excited for graduation. We have wonderful activities coming up, but the most important is our graduation on June 12th, and we hope you all can come to watch as we take our next step forward. We'd like to thank the members of the Seabrook community for all their support in our fundraising efforts.
And now for other sports and extracurriculars, the boys baseball team is having an incredible start to their season, and Mother Nature is finally cooperating with the weather. The girls softball is celebrating a 4-1 start to their season, and Coach Coder couldn't be more proud of their efforts.
The track team is currently showing off their amazing skills at a meet at Winnicott. We wish them all luck.
And Youth to Youth is in the middle of filming their annual public service announcement film. All are invited to attend the 12th annual Branding Youth Festival at the Portsmouth City Music Hall on Monday, June 9th from 6 to 8. Tickets are $5 for students and $12 for adults. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, you did a great job. All right, moving on to public comment. We'll open public comment at 4:34. And I just want to remind everybody that the board will provide 30 minutes and 5 minutes per person. If we have a lot of people, I do have a sign-up sheet there. Just want to remind everybody, during the public comment, an individual may offer comments on agenda items or upon other district matters, operations, budget, and other issues directly relating to the district's school policies, programs, and operations. However, consistent with RSA 189:74, and in the interest of protecting personally and information as well as other confidential information. I lost my place, hold on. Comments including complaints regarding individual students, volunteers, or employees other than the superintendent should be directed to the superintendent or otherwise as provided on the complaint grievance resolution process set forth in the school board policies KE and or KEB. Do we have any public comment?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Representative Seabrook here, State Rep for Rockingham District 30. Wanted to bring y'all a brief legislative update tonight on Senate Bill 210. This was, I attended a public hearing for this bill at the end of February. This is regarding to establishing a study committee at the state level for to addressing bullying in public schools. There were several SAU 21 parents who came along from the other day to testify in favor of that study committee. It's going to be exec in about a week or so. We don't know exactly what the House Education Policy Committee plans to do with that. The impression that I get is that they are ready to do more than simply study the issue. It should be noted that there has been a petition going around that has been collecting hundreds of parent signatures requesting the resignation of the SAU 21 superintendent, and I encourage the board to take that feedback when making future personnel decisions. That's that's the only information that I had to share with you guys today. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment?
My name is Janessa Goucher. I live at 118 Cimarron Drive. I want to read a poem for you about who I am now after my time in this school. I miss the sweet girl you used to be, they say. Trust me, I know, I think of her every day. I think of the reason she went away and why she gets farther from me every birthday. I haven't seen that girl in years, the one that always had a smile from ear to ear. Every time I feel her appear, it usually just ends in tears. I'm not sure why I can't find her, the memory of her is all a blur. Although she's the one I would prefer, people like me always lose touch of who they were. I miss the sweet girl you used to be is a sentence that truly haunts me. If she's the one you want to see, please tell me why didn't you protect me?
Thank you.
My name is Brooklyn Shore. I live at 118 Cimarron Drive. My name is Brooklyn Shore. I live at 118 Cimarron Drive. I came here to support our 6th grade social studies teacher because he makes such a big difference in my school day. He is one of the best teachers I've ever had. He always helps me when I need it and always asks me about my day. He doesn't just come here because it's his job. He actually cares about us. Please don't take him away. Thank you.
My name's Leah Brown. I live at 118 Cimarron Drive. Came here today still in frustration about the bullying. I've asked for appeals. It's been pushed off and pushed off. I still see nothing being done, as you heard from my daughter, who has finally worked up the courage to come here and speak. That is the outcome of what you have done in this school. Nothing. I don't know why you sit there with a smirk on your face. I don't know how you sleep at night allowing this to happen in this school. I have started that petition. I have printed it out to present it here today, and I will present it at the joint board meeting. There is hundreds of signatures to dismiss you because you do not do anything for this school. You allow these students to be tormented. You allow and you want to remove a teacher who does wonders for these kids. But I can name quite a few teachers who make students very uncomfortable and should not work with students. But you do nothing about that. I'm not quite sure what your avenue is, but I'm digging and I will find it. And it ain't gonna work.
All right, any other public speak, before we move on to our agenda?
Hi everybody, I'm a sixth grade social studies teacher, Andrew Codere.
Your name, excuse me,
Andrew Codere.
thank you.
I know this is not my night, I just know that the day was coming out, so I just want to come out and express my heartfelt gratitude for the overwhelming support I received through the letters, emails, online posts, and the words of encouragement. Your kindness has truly touched me, and I appreciate every message more than I can ever describe. I got plenty of emails from past students, those resonated deep with me, and I didn't obviously respond, but I wanted to make sure that they heard that I saw them, I appreciated them, and this is why I'm here. As we move forward, I do kindly ask that any discussions on my behalf focus on my positive message. Let this turn into a situation, let's turn this situation into a constructive conversation rather than a confrontation. Although the past month and a half has been very challenging for me, I'm committed to handling this matter with the utmost professionalism and kindness, and reflecting the values that we instill in these students. If I felt I was truly unwanted here, I would just go. However, this unwavering support from this that I've received from this community has shown me that this fight is absolutely worth fighting for. And I'll continue to fight to prove that your faith is warranted in me. I want to dedicate my career to this school and continue to make an impact on the students of this community. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to discussing further.
Hi, Amy Martin, Jean Drive. I'm just here to show my support for Mr. Codere.
You can't state
Sorry.
personnel names.
I'm here to show my support for beep. I just want to say that in this time where everybody is hyper-focused on our students learning and how far behind we are, what a huge disservice to our students and our children that we're doing by not reinstating this teacher. He has made such a huge impact. He's young, he's vibrant, he connects with our kids. And in this day and age where everybody has this instant gratification of their phones in their hand and just scrolling and the next newest best thing, he connects with these kids on a level that is needed. He makes, no offense, a boring subject like social studies interesting for these kids and engages them. And not even just on a school level, on a personal level, he gets these kids to just reach out to him if they need him. He makes a difference. So I cannot stress enough what a huge disservice you are doing to our children. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Hannah Polak. I'm the 6th grade math teacher here at Seabrook Middle School. I wrote a letter of recommendation on behalf of the 6th grade social studies teacher that I hope I will never have to use. But I do ask that you listen to this as a recommendation as to why we need to keep him as part of our Seabrook family. Because that's what we are a family here.
Can you hold on 1 second? Meredith, where there's a grievance, I mean, technically, should we be listening to all of this?
It's really
Public
excuse me, it's really up to the board, in terms of responding to that, but you're correct, the board has scheduled a hearing.
I mean, I think
I know
we're just
it's public.
listening, we're not gonna give
Right.
feedback to how we
Right.
feel, so.
I just wanted to make sure because we already have a grievance in place.
Who knows that? Is that public? So, can we continue with public comment?
Continue. whom it may concern, I'm pleased to write this letter of recommendation on behalf of the 6th grade social studies teacher. During the last 5 years, I have been lucky enough to have the 6th grade social studies teacher as a colleague. Anyone who works with him will quickly learn of his character and his desire to have a positive influence with each student and staff member who enters the school. He understands the importance of building positive, lasting relationships with his students and makes that a priority every day in the classroom. He can be characterized by many traits that guide his work and interaction with students, but there is one trait that stands out among the others. He shows deep empathy for those who do not always have the best circumstances needed to reach their goals. The 6th grade social studies teacher is consistently the first person on the team to help with any task. He takes initiative with leadership roles to plan cross-curricular activities, manages fundraisers for field trips, and communicates with outside organizations in effort of providing the best possible experiences for his students. He pioneered a fiesta with the 6th grade team to teach a unit on Mesoamerican history. Knowing the importance of connecting curriculum across all classes, he personally planned with each team member and created a project that connected his curriculum to math, science, language arts, and media. And then finished the project by inviting a local Mexican restaurant to provide lunch, making the students' experience as authentic as possible. Having this teacher on your staff does not only mean you will be getting a classroom teacher. He is actively involved in numerous extracurricular activities by means of coaching. Since I have known him, he has coached soccer, basketball, and softball each year. He prioritizes character and building relationship among his teams. As a classroom teacher myself, I have personally seen a positive change in many of his athletes. Even through sports, he finds a way to teach many life lessons that remain with our students for years to come. Any school system will be extremely lucky to have the 6th grade social studies teacher as part of their staff. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with this teacher, and having him on your team will undoubtedly become a point of light for both the students and the staff. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any additional questions. Sincerely, Hannah Black.
Hi, Kelly Huber, 96 Farm Lane. I just have a question. When the board was presented with a renewal list and a non-renewal list, was the renewal?
This isn't a question and answer for public comment.
Okay, so then I guess I'll say that I'm under the understanding that the renewal list included the non-renewal, and that the recommendation was that if you were not to accept the non-renewal, then you would not be accepting all the renewals. So if that's the case, there should have been a list of non-renewals and renewals so that you would have an option as a board, because you do have the option to make a vote on whether or not you wanted to accept the non-renewal of this teacher. So I just wanted to point out that when a teacher's not tenured, which is 5 years or younger, under, they are not entitled to a hearing, but it does state that the school board does have the option to grant this teacher a hearing. And it does state if the teacher is not tenured, they may not be renewed for any reason as long as the school district follows proper procedures. This may include receiving a written notice, potentially having a hearing if you chose to give that teacher the hearing. In essence, the school board in New Hampshire has the authority to make the final decision of non-renewal, and they are not bound to accept the superintendent's recommendation. So that's just something you might want to consider.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You go next. Autumn.
Hi, Crystal Goodrow, Whittier Drive, Seabrook. As a parent with my second child going through this school, I couldn't have two more different children. One does extremely well in school and the other struggles. My most important thing is to be a good person and your character. We have a teacher here who is not only an outstanding teacher, but an amazing human being who's driving home the importance of character and just being a good person. We don't get that in every aspect of our lives. And it's hard. School's hard, life is hard. It's only gonna get harder. But when you have a teacher like we do here that's touched every student in some particular way, because they're all different, and he takes his time, not only outside of school, to coach, and then go to games to watch that he's not even coaching, and takes the strengths out of each student and just continues to praise them and make them see the good. I don't understand, you're not gonna find another teacher like that, that's gonna continue to teach ways for every student to understand, but the most important thing in life is to teach them to be good human beings. We're gonna become adults and our lives are gonna go by so fast, and the key points throughout our lives are gonna be the people that touched us. So why are you gonna let a teacher go that kids are gonna talk about when they're adults, when they're having their own children and trying to teach life lessons? I had this teacher that did this. They showed up. They're the parents that, we can't have, because we can't come to school with them. So I just want you to take into consideration that life is tough, it's getting harder. There are not good people out there. We're trying to raise good kids. You got a teacher that does it all. So you would be crazy to let it go.
Hello, Alyssa Dow. I teach 6th grade language arts here at Seabrook Middle School. As many of you know, the 6th grade social studies teacher is currently facing the tremendously difficult possibility of not being renewed for his position. And yet, despite the uncertainty, despite the weight of that challenge, he has shown up every single day with courage, with professionalism, and most importantly, with unwavering dedication to his students. That kind of commitment is rare. It's easy to be invested when everything is going well, but to remain positive, to keep coaching, to stay present and passionate when your own future is unclear, that takes heart. It's hard to put into words the impact one educator can have, but talk to his students, talk to their families, talk to the colleagues who've watched him give everything he has, even when it hasn't been easy. You hear the same thing over and over. He matters here. He makes a difference. We need him. The 6th grade social studies teacher deserves every ounce of support that we can give him. When someone shows this kind of heart, this kind of resilience, this kind of commitment to their students, our response should be clear and unified. We stand with our 6th grade social studies teacher. We believe in him. Will continue to speak up for him because the connections he makes with students matter, and his role in this community matters, and it is vital. Thank you.
All right, we'll leave public comment open. Is there any more before we start our board business? All right, moving on to approval of minutes. I didn't see the minutes. Oh,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 2nd, 2025. I'll second.
I just have one correction to make on there. If Denise could fix that, because I went and re-listened to myself speak. I didn't refuse to vote. And my actual verbiage was that I chose to vote present, not because of who was on the renomination list, but because of who was not on the list. And I would like that to be in the minutes. You can listen to the recording. I didn't say I refused to vote. I said a little bit more than that, and I want to go on record as saying that. And with that, I also, because we went to minutes so quickly, I want to thank each and every person that came out here tonight, and I see you kids and I hear you. And I just want to thank you because you are the ones that run the school. We're not. We answer to you. And I want you all to know that and how proud I am of you coming and speaking, because it's important in life that we continue to speak up no matter what. Thank you.
Maria, can you send me the verbiage of what you want corrected?
I can, but if you listen to the
So
recording.
you're making the change, so you have to tell me exactly how you want it
I'll
said.
send it to you.
So you'll have to send it to me, so they'll have to wait to be approved.
okay.
Because you'll have to prove her exact verbiage.
Yeah.
Of what she wants changed.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Alright, so we'll table that for next time. And then SAU report, superintendent, student services and curriculum.
Do you wanna go first, Dr.
Happy to go first. Good evening, everybody. I gave you a little preview of our annual LEA determinations for special education. Last time, just to explain a few of the indicators that we were seeing for this calendar year. Every April, these determinations come out across the state, and they analyze the data from the year prior. So all of the data that we're gonna look at for this current report is based on data that was accumulated and reviewed by the state for last school year, so 23-24. So just wanted to give you a little update for that.
Is this the same one that we had last month?
We're gonna see a little bit of review, but we're gonna see the brand new report that just came out on April 1st.
Can I wanted to ask the chairman something if I could.
Sure.
You know, I just find it, we're filling in with this because we've already seen it. When we had other things that we could be doing tonight, probably during non-public, and instead we're getting another, I've already seen all of this.
Maria,
It was
the
a little
board
bit that I
meetings
didn't-
that we have are to conduct business and to move things forward.
Yeah, I've already seen this though.
And we've already, and you asked for the zone board to be on there, and we've talked about that 5 zillion times.
We'll keep talking about it.
So-
till it's fixed.
Well,
But I'm just
then
saying, we've seen
why-
this, so we're taking up time.
okay, let's
Seeing it again.
move the question.
There's new information.
There is
Go
new
ahead.
information, the new
Yeah.
LEA determinations were published on April 1st to the districts, and at the time I shared with you, we did not have
Right.
everything summarized.
Okay.
I will go quickly through the review slides. You know, I understand that you saw some of this before, but just as a reminder, this is something that's required because of IDEA. It requires us to look at this annually, and so the state agencies do publish that. And so again, moving quickly, there are 4 categories, and one of the things that I did point out to you last time and last year is that there was a change for the 2024 and again in 2025. I didn't know this the last time. They did keep it the same, but they sort of upped the criteria. They made it a little more difficult in order to receive that green meets, which is what we want. I explain this like a golf game. We want as few strokes as possible, right? So the fewer points, the better. And so a couple of years ago in 2023, we could have received up to 38% of the points and still received a meets in that category. And now that is only 30% of the points. You know, anything over 30, and now you're dropping to the next category. There are 4 big category areas. The first one is results-based. I'll talk about that a little bit more when I get to our data. The second one is assessment, and then again, moving on quickly. The third one is compliance, and the last one is additional factors like grants and special ed complaint allegations and those pieces. In addition to receiving a rating in each of those 4 big areas, we get an overall rating for the district, right? And so you can see down at the bottom of this slide that depending upon how many scores we receive below meets, that determines what your overall score is going to be. So again, I want to move quickly and get us to the new information, which is here we are. And so now I'm giving you a historical overview of the last 4 years of data. The new information, the 24-25, we didn't have at the last meeting. And if you view every one of these years across horizontally, you will see that we actually, between 23-24 data and the next year, the current determinations that we just received, in the area of assessment, we actually moved up a rating. So we went from needs intervention, that's sort of that purpley pink, I know you can't see it too well on the slide, but we moved up a rating to needs assistance. So even though we've been needs assistance for the past 3 years, it's actually this year's data was a little bit better, a little bit improved over where we were. In compliance and additional indicators, we were still in meets, and we've been in meets for 4 years in a row, so that's excellent. And so now we have to work on the results-based, which is a lot about our preschool environments and our preschool indicators and our assessment. which is a lot about closing achievement gaps. So I'm sure that's not a surprise to you when we compare students with disabilities with their typical peers. And so moving on, the DOE does provide us with resources if we are in needs assistance. And so I work closely with the directors from every district to review those resources and any area that's identified as needs assistance or needs intervention. And so this is an additional category that we were assigned for this year because of being in needs assistance for more than 2 years, 2 consecutive years. We've actually been in needs assistance for 3 years here. And now they have a new category called sustained needs assistance. And so this is the new information, as I said. So as a result, we have some required actions. And that is that we do have access to the technical assistance. By June 15th, we're required to attend an introduction to the LAE determinations rubric training. And so Christian Allison, the director, and myself, we will be sure that we're attending this training. We thought it was actually going to be happening this week on Monday, this past Monday, but it was canceled, postponed. So we're waiting on the new date that it's going to be done before June 15th. We have to select one area of the rubric for our focus. And for us, the 2 areas of needs assistance are the results or the assessment. Christian and I spoke about it today. She's been working very diligently regarding the preschool environments and the preschool results. And so we're hoping that that will be the area, the results area, that we focus on for this plan that we will write and get approved at the state level. By September, we have to submit that plan to access our technical assistance. And by March 15th of next year, we have to document all of the steps that we have taken to access that technical assistance and report the progress that we've made in that particular area of the rubric. So thank you. I went through that very quickly. If you have any questions, I'm happy to go back to the slides or answer them in any way I can.
So I have a question. I noticed in your results based sheet in 21-22, we went from meets with a 27%, and then next year we dropped to 81% with a needs intervention. Is there a reason why it was such a big drop between that school year? If you go back to slide, 5.
Yeah, I want to get back to it for you.
Yeah, it's number 5.
Sorry.
I just because it's such a huge gap from 27 to 81, I just wanted to know what happened in between that year that caused that huge
That it went up so significantly.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I can see just by looking at this information is that in 21-22, the state only counted 6 of the indicators for Seabrook.
Okay.
But then in 22-23, they decided that they were going to count 18 out of the 22 indicators, right?
So what bases their decision off how many indicators?
How everybody else in the state does. They don't make the decision for what the target is going to be until they've collected all the data. That's why the data's a year behind. They look at all the data from across the state, and then they set 2 targets. They set a state target based on the average that the state received, and then they set a target of where they think everybody should be, which is usually higher. And that's how they determine whether you get 0 points if you've met both of them, 1 point, or 2 points.
Okay.
The most you can get in any one of these categories is 2 points.
It also was the case, 21-22 was the year immediately following the pandemic, so state assessment wasn't conducted in that year, so they weren't looking at all of the measures.
So probably environments for preschool didn't count that year because we weren't in school, right? So that's why there were 6 instead of the 18 that counted.
Seems hard to prepare for something like this.
It's
so
next to impossible
different.
to prepare.
Okay.
And so the work is just to focus on all of the indicators that we know are coming and to be diligent about meeting the expectations of each of those indicators. But what we can never predict is what that target is going to be, because it's going to depend on what everybody across the state does and then how they set that target. It's a complicated process. I have a little data for you that you might find interesting. One of our directors in SAU 21 actually sent this to me. There are a total of 177 LEEs across the state. That's how many districts we have. 54 of them were in the overall meets. And to do that, you can have all meets, or you can have 3 meets and 1 needs assistance, and then you can be in meets overall. That's only 30% of the LEAs. 105 are in the same category that we're in, needs assistance overall. And then there were 18 in needs intervention, which is a step even below where we are. So that's just to give you the data across the state from where we are.
Will, this be updated again?
Every year.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been providing it to you annually every year. So last month, because of some indicators that are going to impact next year's data, that we had received some letters about those indicators, we wanted to provide you with a forecast of where we thought we would be. So we were not surprised by these results when we received them too much.
Thank you, Mary.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Anything else?
Anybody else have questions?
Thank you so much.
So, Dr. Cassidy's report and mine are also included. I would note that last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and I know here some of that celebration is still occurring this week, but we are happy that our schools are taking time to honor and recognize our employees, and we especially want to thank our parents, parent associations, and community partners for their support in recognizing our teachers and staff. A note on legislation, we held our roundtable prior to April vacation. I'm sorry, Representative Seabrook was not able to attend. Did I pronounce that correctly? Pretty close?
It's good.
Schwenier?
I'm patient.
Okay.
Schwanier, but I'm.
Schwenier, okay. I've been practicing French, but I'm sorry. At any rate, I appreciate the update. Senator Altschiller, who's one of the sponsors of that bill, was in attendance at that session, so I'm pleased to hear that's continuing to move forward. But school board members get updates from the New Hampshire School Board Association. There are a number of bills slated to be acted upon in the coming weeks, so we just encourage people to stay involved and continue to follow what's in there and reach out to the legislature and your local legislators to voice your opinion on those bills. Our student leadership team will hold its last meeting this coming Friday to debrief the year and discuss suggestions for improving and building on the work of the team for future years. And then Dr. Cassidy's report focuses a lot on state assessment, which is ongoing right now for students in grades 3 through 8. We also just completed testing, what's called access testing for our English language learners or our emerging bilingual students, so we should be getting the results of that sometime this week from the state. Students at the high school receive their SAT results in early May, but our state assessment results for students in grades 3 through 8, the individual results will be available to students and families close to the end of the school year, but we don't get our school and district results typically till late summer, and then they aren't made public until sometime in the fall, typically October.
All right, any questions? All right, moving on to SES Principals Report.
All right. We are very excited to share with you that Playworks has started at Seabrook Elementary. It has really been a tremendous start to that program, and I would like to just thank all of our teachers, our students, and a big shout out to Jermaine McKenzie and Lindsay Hamlet as well, who are really helping lead that. But it really has been everything that we had hoped for. Our students are certainly going out to recess excited, more engaged, more involved. We've had less behavioral issues coming from recess, and so it's meeting our goals of really developing our students to be leaders and to come back inside from recess ready to learn. The junior coaching aspect of that has been my favorite part of it, and seeing some of our third graders currently who are our junior coaches working to help coach first graders out at first grade recess and teaching them the Playworks games. So that's been a really neat thing to see, and just seeing some kids come out of their shell and again just becoming student leaders. That's been really powerful, so we're excited. And we're excited to have a surprise visit from our Playworks coach who'll be coming back for one day to kind of check in on things and see how things are going as we wrap up the year. So it's been a great thing, and thank you again to the board for approving that for our school. And then moving on, we had a lockdown drill, which is the first that I've been a part of here at Seabrook Elementary. I'm very pleased that we're in a place that we are now practicing those very important drills, and it went very well. So we're excited that we're able to do that, and thank our teachers and the community for being on board with practicing those important drills. We had our walk to school day recently, which is probably one of my favorite things we do here in Seabrook. It was another hit, and really it's not possible without police and fire and DPW and the wellness committee for putting that all together. So thank you to everybody involved in making that happen. Yesterday we started our New Hampshire State Assessments over at SES. Began with fourth grade. They took the reading test yesterday, and third grade is taking the reading test Thursday. So that's just begun. Tomorrow we're excited. It is a half day tomorrow, but we have an assembly. So we'll be welcoming the Tiger group from Plymouth State University to be doing an anti-bullying assembly. It's called Kindness Counts, and it's something that we did a few years ago, took a little break from it, and we're going to be bringing it back. But it's a age-appropriate, just exciting way to get the message across, to teach kids, ways to go about conflict resolution, stand up against bullying, and that kind of thing. So we're excited to have them here tomorrow. Last thing on my report is just a reminder, Title I Summer School. The dates will be July 8th to July 31st. The deadline for that is this Friday, however, so if you are planning on signing your child up for Title I Summer School, you have a few days left to do that, so please reach out if you need any assistance with that. That is all for on my report, but a couple of things that didn't make it. We had a very successful preschool lottery with 8 new preschool students selected, followed by a great information session where those 8 families were able to come and check out the school and the classroom, meet the teachers. Separate from that, we had a very successful kindergarten information night, so I'd like to thank our kindergarten team for putting that together. That's something that they just do above and beyond on their own. That's not required, but they stay late, and they're very thoughtful in planning what I think is a very good first experience for our families when they come into Seabrook if it's their first time here. So thank you to the kindergarten team, that was awesome. And a lot of field trips going on. So we had a trip from first grade. They went to Pete the Cat in Portsmouth a couple weeks ago. On this Thursday, we have grade 2 going to the Portland Children's Museum. I think they're the first group going there, so about an hour away, but I think they're excited for that one. Boston Children's Museum is going to be grade 3 next Wednesday, and grade 4 is going to Squam Lake in June, and then June 4th we're all going to the Harborside Park for our field day again this year. So we have that planned for June 4th, and our UA team is working right now to finish planning those details, but we're excited. That's been a fun day every year I've been here, so we're excited for that as well. And I think that's it. Oh, other than our baby chicks are hatching any day, so we're excited for those too. Yeah, and happy Teacher Appreciation Week. I love that we celebrate it the week after here in Seabrook. It's awesome, but this work is very hard, and so please thank your child's teacher. It's thankless work oftentimes, and so we appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank all the teachers also. I'm not good with these appreciation like Grandma Day and Grandpa Day, but while we have the chance, I'd like to say thank you, and we know you do. It's very hard and difficult. I know I couldn't do it, so we really appreciate it. One last thing is I'd like to close public comment.
Before you do, I just have a thing.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm just gonna jump in. Thank you for allowing it. Rebecca Sherbon, 8th grade. The 8th grade team and its kids would be absolutely remiss if we did not thank the PTO for the amazing dance that they put on last Friday, Nautical Nights. These kids came dressed to the nines. They had so much fun. Casa Tequila did a wonderful job of providing food for them, and they were great. They had such a good time. What a memory for them and for us as teachers, and for Miss Morrill, who it was her last 8th grade dance. So, yay Miss Morrill, she went out and showed off her moves. So thank you so much for the PTO. It was a night that they will never ever forget. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm gonna close public comment at 5:15.
And I
Did
just
you have
wanted to,
something?
yeah, I wanted to, say thank you, first of all, for all the positive things that are happening at the elementary end. And I know the last time the recess, thing was brought up, we were kind of talking about how can we bring that over to the middle school side, and just kind of hoping that we're kind of doing something to kind of piggyback. And I know it's a different age group, but we should be able to try to do something to see some improvement. Maybe we have. And the other piece is the Kindness Counts Assembly with Tiger. I don't know if they have one that's more, suitable for a middle school age, but that also, so. But thank you for all you do, all of you.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to SMS, Principal's Monthly Report.
Like to echo what Ms. Sherburne said, she stole my opening line.
Sorry. Sorry.
But yeah, so, it was a great dance last Friday night. What these 4 women do for our school is just incredible, and we also had parent volunteers. 56 plus students, had a great time, danced, ate a lot of food, ate some more food, danced more. I took a lot of pictures, so thanks to them for that.
And Pam Holt.
And what?
And Pam Holt.
And Pam Holt.
DJs were in there. Sorry.
DJ of the moment, we can't, so thank you them. We had our second induction ceremony for the National Junior Art Society. We have previously inducted the 8th graders, and now we inducted the 7th graders, who will carry on the legacy, because as you all know, the 8th graders are counting down till June 12th. As you can tell, it has already begun, so we thank the parents who supported that and everyone who came out to that. The parent guardian group had a beach cleanup, our first one. Seabrook Beach is definitely the cleanest beach in the state of New Hampshire. We only had 9 pounds of trash, which is great. We're gonna host another one. We'll be picking a date soon. We appreciate the 25 to 30 students and families and parents who came. We had a beautiful day, and we're appreciative of their support with that. Also like to thank the staff for the Wellness Spirit Week. It was a great week before vacation to celebrate being healthy, being well, and ending with a fun activity. Also to echo what Tim said, we had our first lockdown, which was extremely successful. We will continue to have drills for students, fire drills. We appreciate it. This is the first time the fire department came out and facilitated a drill for us, and the students exited the building in 2.5 minutes, which is pretty phenomenal considering the amount of students that we have. So we appreciate Seabrook Fire Department. The birds have hatched on the softball field. Unfortunately, the mother and babies are still hanging around. They're yet to leave, so we're glad that we have another field nearby that we can have our games at. So that's it.
I have a question, if I could, the discipline, issue, which, as Michelle said, I've asked 1,000 times to keep the classroom thought of like the elementary has, the reset room, the zone room, whatever you choose to call it, like we used to have. And I know what I had asked for as a board member is that some type of plan moving forward, because I see your numbers here, and I don't know if they're better than last year.
They are better.
They're better. And
better than last year and better than the year before.
okay, and just saying is what can we do as a board to help support whatever is needed to be done, because they're better and that's what happens, but we still know we've got so many issues. I mean, ongoing with problems in the school that interrupt learning and education, and I know we expect you guys to fix it all, and I'm sure you're busy all day, you and the assistant to put out the fires all day long with us, but there's so much more positive things that you could be doing with education academics and learning, if we could do something and see a plan to how are we going to address the bullying? How are we gonna address the violence? How are we going to move forward? So that's better, but there's still, you know, as everybody says, it's better, but it's not okay. It's not okay, and every day, whether I'm in the grocery store, a ball game, everywhere you wanna be when you wanna enjoy what you're there for, you cannot help but hear the heartbreak from parents. And I know some of the board feels we shouldn't speak to parents, but you know what, I am never gonna stop listening to you. I hear you, what I can do about it is the problem, and I'm here to do whatever I can to help you, Colleen, and Tim, to be able to do what we can to support. Tim has a very successful program on the elementary end. There's gotta be something we can do over here, and that's all. I just,
Maria, we've had that conversation several times about the very successful program, and I don't disagree with that. We put a behavioral specialist on a warrant article, and the voters did not go for that. We do not have, we're in a default budget, we don't have the personnel or the space at the present moment. So any issue that anyone has brought forward, all has been brought forward by parents in terms of bullying, we investigate. Consequences are provided to students. We reassessed our recess. Kids enter the building differently. I put that in one of my weekly reports. We have an EA take a class. We have the school resource officer take a class in. Problems rise from, you know, a very active group of grade level students. If you look at the data, you can probably figure out what grade that is. Who are highly competitive at recess and really have a hard time entering the building. Officer Keith is in the hallway during transitions. We've assigned EAs in the hallways. And the staff sitting across from me, they're out in the hallway every single day. And they don't just talk to the kids that are their students, they're all our kids. I mean, I could see an 8th grade teacher saying to a 6th grade student, hey, stop running. You're in the hallway. And I could see, you know, a 6th grade teacher talk to a 5th grade student as they walk down to the very end of the building. So I would say that we are all hands on deck and we are always working to problem solve. You are always gonna have kids that are gonna fight in the middle school, that are gonna be nasty and mean to each other and say not very nice things. Any middle school that you go to that happens. Do we like it? We don't like it. We deployed our 2 counselors to all the classrooms. They started with 6th grade and now they're in 5th grade and they're gonna get to 7th grade and 8th grade. The 8th grade, thankfully, has the least amount of discipline issues. And that pivot from 7th to 8th is dramatic. So I applaud those students who, they figure it out after you have a lot of conversations with them. And Mrs. Sabakady and I, yeah, we do investigate. We spend a lot of hours and a lot of time. We call a lot of parents. In due diligence, the people in this school work hard on behalf of kids every single day that they're here. So I guess the narrative is, yeah, we do have fights. We do have kids that have bullied kids. We do have kids who are disrespectful to each other.
Exactly,
But all
don't be
hands,
disrespectful.
all hands on deck, you know, we need the parents to support us, which they do. Any parent I call up will say, hey, I'm having a hard time at home, how can you help us?
but I think my point is sure, everybody wants to keep bringing up the default budget, and I understand, and the punishment or whatever it is because we didn't vote for another person. Tim does not have that other person. He has an EA that he's having success with, so I'm not gonna keep rehashing, but I'm gonna keep talking about the need for something more. And what that something more is, I don't know, I don't have the answers.
Well, an EA in a room like a zone room is not the answer, I'll tell you that right now.
Well, it used to work here.
Well, that's not what I was told.
It's a different time.
I just wanna piggyback on something Maria said. She asked what we can do as a school
Yeah,
board
right.
to help. And I think leading by example, by being kind and respectful to each other and to people in the community, I think speaks volumes. Cause the kids are looking at us, they're watching this. They're listening to their parents talk. And I think by you treating people with kindness and respect, it shows a lot more. So if we can't do something today, we can do something every single day by being kind and respectful to everybody around us. So.
I agree. A lot
let us know if there's anything we can do, I guess.
Alright, moving on to special services report.
Alright, how's everybody doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. So just a couple of highlights from the last month.
Christian, can you announce yourself?
Oh, yes, I'm Christian Allison, the Special Services Director here in Seabrook, elementary and middle school. So the school psychologist and I were able to attend the annual Special Education Law Conference that is put on by Drummond and Winsome and Wadley and Starr, as well as a few other members throughout SAU 21. The conference offered us some valuable updates on special ed law and compliance, which of course will help strengthen the district's systems and supports and hopefully help us with some of the indicators that you just saw the presentation on. We are involved, well actually almost finished with the 8th grade transition process, and when I say that I mean supporting our students making that jump from 8th grade into 9th grade. So we had our first day on April 22nd. I just sat in on Monday for the second day, and what we do is we meet with a team from Winnicott. They welcome in the families and the students of the incoming 9th graders. They get to meet the staff there, get to hear about the clubs that are offered, get to hear about See the Summit, which is a class they can take over the summer and earn a credit, and they get to hear about Fresh Start, which is 3 days before school, where freshmen can come and get oriented and do some fun activities so that they're used to the building before that first day of school. The annual Memorial Fishing Derby is coming up this Friday, May 16th, so that's hosted by the Piscataqua Fish and Game Club. So this is a fishing derby that's in its 45th year, formerly known as the Walter Burns Fishing Derby Day for Special Needs Children. This year it's taking place in Greenland, New Hampshire, thanks to the continued generosity of the Sanderson family, who allows everybody to use their property with the pond on it. So we have 2 full buses going on Friday. I was hoping to be able to go and catch a few fish, but I am gonna have to stay back and attend a few meetings, but I'm sure everybody will have a great time. Looking forward to those pictures. And then the Department of Education has put out a parent involvement survey. So it's for parents and guardians of students with disabilities who receive special education services from ages 3 to 21. If you haven't had a chance to fill out the survey, please do so. It needs to be completed by May 23rd. And then, as always, I have our numbers at the bottom. If you're keeping tabs, when you look at the total number of meetings, at the end of April, we've had 232 IEP team meetings thus far, pre-K to 8. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody else want to go fishing in my place?
I would love to.
I hear so many good things about that.
Yeah.
I've seen years of pictures and just really thankful to our staff that continues to keep that going.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm gonna get there. Hopefully next year. All right,
Best day.
thank you. It is the best day ever.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to the finance report.
Thank you. I'll keep it brief. So we have included both the year-to-date expenditure and revenue reports on board docs for your review. The total balance does remain steady from last month. It's approximately $100,000 in available funds. That's based on unexpended funds and surplus revenue. It also includes the withdrawal from the Building Maintenance Expendable Trust for the replacement boiler. So we are tracking well, and we do expect to stay on budget. through the end of this fiscal year. That being said, as always, just please keep in mind that we do have a month and a half remaining in the fiscal year, and that number could change if we did have any unanticipated expenditures. For example, I had sent the board an email last week. We did have an emergency plumbing repair with some very detailed photos included that did cost approximately $5,000. So that's an unanticipated expenditure that we incurred. Unfortunately, those type of expenditures don't happen every day, but you know that does you know occur on occasion. I'd be happy to answer any specific questions about any expenditure line items or revenue questions that you may have.
Is it okay? I have a question. Yeah, sure. Just on that, so the 5,000, does that come out of the building maintenance fund or the budget? Which one is?
So that'll come out of the operating budget. If it's an amount that we feel confident that we'll be able to absorb in the operating budget. You know, with the roughly, like I said, but we have about $100,000.
What do we have in our maintenance fund?
Now, the maintenance, the building maintenance expendable trust, for the audience, is a trust that was established to safeguard the district for these unanticipated costs. It's the only kind of account that we can roll over year to year. At the end of the year, any excess funds are returned to the town to offset any your tax return, or I'm sorry, not tax return, your property taxes. So these expendable trusts are meant to are really the only safeguard for our district for these type of costs. So to answer, just so that everyone's aware of what this is, for the trust, there's roughly $130,000 in available funds.
So they have more in the trust than we do left in the budget for the year. It wouldn't be possible to take that out of that so that we can, I mean, we're getting low, we're down to 100,000. I mean, I'm just asking if it's a possibility.
Yeah, I think we're in good shape for the remainder of this year. However, that is always an option. Is we would have a public hearing, and the board could vote to withdraw those funds. In this case, there's a $5,000 repair. If that's something that the board's interested in, we could certainly schedule that for the June board meeting.
If they are taken out and put in the operating budget though, does that roll over back to the town too?
So any money that goes into the operating budget that's not expended will be returned to the town to offset the property tax assessment.
Thank you.
So it's like a savings account that we have in cases repairs.
So it's prudent to keep a balance in the trust for these type of events. In this case, there isn't a huge need to make a withdrawal, so I would recommend that we maintain the trust balance. And in reality, our target for that trust is closer to $250,000 because of those big ticket items that could occur, like the 2 boilers that we replaced that were combined. They were about $65,000 each. So it doesn't take much to deplete that account rather quickly.
Yeah, good. So what, I mean, I was just asking, but if things come up between now and June, we still have the opportunity that we could do that if we need to.
Yeah,
hopefully we don't.
That's a great question. It's something that we always need to look at.
Yeah.
But yes,
Good.
we do need to post any public hearing 10 days in advance.
Yeah.
But we could even do that after the fiscal year if it was necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Is the trust part of warrant articles? Is it a warrant article that is?
So the trust was established originally as a warrant article, so the town voted to establish the trust, and then to contribute any funds into the trust, there needs to be a warrant article to add money to it.
Right. Thank you. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. can move on, continuing business policy, second read and adoption.
Yes, so this was the form the board reviewed at the last meeting, change requested by the facilities department just to clarify date and time as opposed to day and date.
So I'll make a motion to accept this policy. Policy KF, our community use of school facilities form.
I'll second.
Motion by Lacey, seconded by Casey. Casey. All those in favor? Aye. And then I added this to the agenda because I wanted to see, I don't know where we're at with legal counsel.
Can I just
If-
add one comment?
Yeah.
So I would say if the board wants to debate the merits of one attorney versus another, that would probably be a non-public discussion.
Non-public,
If you're
okay.
voting on like a particular counsel, that would be a public vote, but if you're talking about the particular attorneys, that should be a non-public discussion under
Okay.
C for reputation.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
Let's
think,
do that.
yeah, and are we planning on changing, cause I know from documents we've changed, so.
It wasn't that we changed, it was just we had to have legal counsel there, so it was just somebody that was educated in educational law so that they can direct us in the right direction.
But not to somebody that the board spent a long time preparing for, so yeah, the non-public discussion's good, and we should come out and take a vote
Yeah,
if we're gonna change.
yeah, because we all need to be on the same page.
Yeah,
Alright, so we'll hold up on that, and then, let's see. Bullying, school violence, behavior in zone room. That was you, Maria, we already
Yeah.
kinda talked about that.
yeah, that's me, I'm the only one on the board that addresses that stuff, I guess, thank you, Michelle. Anyways, I think a lot of it's been answered from, the principals. And I'm just gonna continue to say that I think there are options, and I think that if you were to call somebody in to present to the board on a zone room, you could find that it made a huge difference in the middle school. And I know some of the numbers given to me were over 2,000, and they were down to like 1,000 in the first year, cause it was pretty bad. And I think to keep saying we can't do it because of budget, we can't do it because the people said no and voted against what we felt we needed, I just hope that there's something sooner or later here, and we're coming to the end of the year, so maybe by next year, there can be a plan in place, because it's not fixed and it needs to be taken care of, and that's where I'm stopping.
Do that, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Maria.
That's okay.
Okay, I just have a question, cause you mentioned it was at 2,000 and 1,000, I didn't know if you had the documentation that
Yeah, we
could
can
review.
you wanna bring the speaker in to speak on it?
No, I don't, I just want
I-
the documentation.
Well,
on it, 'cause
Lacey,
you
I
mentioned
think
2,000,
Randy works
1,000.
for us as a coach right now, and he was our person, cause the other one passed away, unfortunately.
That was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right, but just
But-
because you were throwing out the numbers, I didn't know
Yeah,
if you had
I
like a
think-
sheet like
I
with
think the
the,
numbers
with
are
the
there,
numbers
and
on
yes,
it.
they could, if you would be interested in hearing it, I think it's kind of a, maybe during our
I
work
think if we
session.
can get the behavioral interventionist passed for next year and the budget passed, I think our administration's doing a great job with the teachers and having the students come out at different times. It's not like they're just sitting there twiddling their thumbs, they are trying to do something about it, and it's not an easy situation. It's hard when you're dealing with that type of child that, at that age.
But it's a year from now, you're talking election, if we could get that voted in, we need to do something this coming year, we need to have change. And if it needs
I
to
rely
be-
on my
Well, I know, but they
administration
rely on
to-
us and the
to
parents
tell
to
us.
hear too, Michelle, you can't just
We're not-
rely on one
but
entity.
we're not in the schools.
But wouldn't it be great to
Are
have
you
a
in the
forum?
school?
I know plenty about the school, Michelle.
Are you in it
Did you
to see
hear
it?
these people tonight?
I think going back to what Lacey said.
I think we need to all meet together and really talk about the coming year with goals, and maybe something we can do different.
Well,
Together.
maybe we could talk about it in our goals,
Yeah.
but I don't, at this point, we've gone
Wait till
over
waiting
this
year.
for 5 times already.
Do you not
And
hear the people that are here telling you there's problems? And the gentleman that spoke up at the state level and said they're taking this very serious? I don't think it's harmful
From the
to have a forum
legislature.
and all get together and kind of see what we can do to help.
So I believe that, hold on one second, can I, hold on Andy. I believe that bullying is a problem nationwide, but I don't think the zone room, I mean, we've heard of, is gonna be the fixer of it.
Maybe not.
I don't think so,
know
so
either.
when we keep bringing it up, I feel like we're taking time away from something
Well,
that.
let's not do it no more, let's not talk about it anymore.
No, I think we should
Yeah.
talk about, and we, you know, bullying and school violence and behavior
Just
and have
not
these
the zone room.
conversation. But I don't, we've been told several times that the zone room just does not work and.
What is working?
Can you open public comment for, just for teachers for one?
Sure, would we like to open, I need consensus among the board to open public comment?
I'm fine with that, as long as it's for everybody, that's all.
I'd just like to make one, Angie Butzer.
Yeah, we'll open public comment at 5:41.
Angie Butzer, special ed, for both elementary and middle. I just wanna make a very quick distinction. I think there are two different programs that people are referencing, and you're overlapping it, making it sound as though it was one program. So back probably 15 years ago, we had a planning room, and that's what Ms. Brown is referencing, that Mr. Rogers, not the Mr. Rogers, that would really have worked, right? But Mr. Randy Rogers oversaw. That was a very different program than the program that was the zones room that mirrored what we have in the elementary school. My personal opinion, having worked here for both and witnessed both, is that the zoned room did in fact have an impact on our kids. But we had resources. We had a space, we had a BCBA that oversaw it, we had an EA that was highly specially trained to supervise that room. So I would suggest that that was very successful. I would also suggest that if you polled teachers and you had a discussion about the planning room that Mr. Rogers oversaw, and forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think I speak for the majority of teachers that might say that that was not a successful program, that was led by somebody without a whole lot of resources or access to training to intervene when we had kids that were really troubled and challenging. Instead, it was a place for them to go. There were trophies everywhere and it was sports-minded. We kind of joked behind the scenes that it was sort of a sports bar for kids. So when things were tough, kids were sent there and they hung out there and then they went back to class. A very different program with a very different structure than what is currently happening in the elementary school and what happened for a short period of time in the middle school. So thank you for letting me interrupt. I just want to make that very clear that that is not the same program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Howard Rebecca Sherbon, I just wanted to thank you again so much for opening public comment. Excuse me.
Well, we wanna hear from the people that are here in the
Yeah.
schools and
I sit there and I'm listening to the really important question of what can the board do to support the need of recognizing behaviors in the building. And I think as a teacher who has been here for 17 years, honestly and truly, the single most important thing that you can do as a school board is to trust us. To trust that we know your kids, to trust that we see what's going on and that we are differentiating between the behaviors that are detrimental to a child's growth as opposed to typical behaviors of a middle school student, because the middle school and the elementary psyche and mindset is of course so different behavior wise. You know, in the elementary school we have kids, you know, just being naughty because they're 5. And at the middle school level, of course it ramps up. But to answer your question, the single most important thing that you could do is just to trust that we are taking care of your children, and in the instances where we know it is outside our purview to deal with behaviors, please know that we are doing the right thing and sending those behaviors and those children to administration for investigations that deem what's needed to correct that behavior. Do we need the additional support? Yes, and I hope that that gets passed next year. But for right now, we are doing our very best to know your children well, to recognize their needs, and to make sure that we are accommodating what they need in order to be successful humans. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for opening it.
Thank you.
Leah Brown, 118 Cimarron Drive. It's not so much not trusting the teachers, but they're not the ones that discipline the kids. They have to get sent to admin. It's admin we can't trust. And bringing in a behavioral type,
You can't
what?
You can't announce personnel.
I'm
I'm
not
not
saying
agreeing
anybody
to her
specific.
stopping you from speaking either, because I
It's in the
think it's
policy.
public comment.
If we can't say names, how come all of you can address people that aren't here?
True.
How come the teachers can come up and say names? Shouldn't the same rules be for everybody?
They don't work for the schools.
I don't work for the school.
No,
I'm a taxpayer.
the people and I've been trying to clarify that with everybody.
You're having different rules for different people.
No, I'm not. I am new to being chair. I was on the board previous. There are rules that have changed. I've gone to New Hampshire School Boards Association and learned. Me and Casey were the only ones that attended, so that I am learning to try to do things correctly. I'm sorry I'm not perfect, but
Don't
I
expect
am
you to be.
trying to do everything I can in my best interest
But
of the school.
if I'm up here and I'm addressing somebody that's right in front of me, I don't see the problem with that, because you can address somebody else that's right in front of you.
You
I-
just can't reference personnel. It's in the policy.
Negatively, so
Negatively, positively, any which way.
XYZ position is doing a lousy job.
Okay,
It's not allowed.
this school is doing a lousy job at protecting these children.
She said administration.
I know, but I'm just trying to have clarity here.
The higher ups, what do you want me to say? You want me to lie? Cause I can sit here and lie, but that's
I'm not asking you to lie, I'm just telling you what the procedure
Because,
is.
okay, if these people that you know I'm addressing protected our children, my 2 kids that are sitting here today would not have been hurt. One of them shoved in the hallway because this one particular student couldn't behave themselves when they were sternly spoken to, because that's gonna solve the problem.
Okay.
But bringing in a behavioral technician is going to help, because let's be therapists for our children, these children, right? Because that's the school's job. The school's job is to educate these children.
Well, you want them to be therapists, that's what, it sounds like that's what you're coming
No,
across.
I want them to discipline these kids that are harassing and bullying these other
Alright.
kids.
We're gonna move on,
And
and
just,
we're gonna close the
Michelle,
public comment.
you didn't stop anybody else, and there's somebody else that wants to speak, and I don't think you should stop her either. And the only thing I wanna
didn't see
say,
that there was anybody
to
else,
Michelle.
Maria. Maria.
I just wanted to say to you, really and truly, at the end of the day, you know whose fault it is? All 5 of us. We're the ones responsible to make sure that the administration that takes care of the teachers and everything, it's our job. And if we don't hear you and listen to you, all of you, staff and parent, we are not gonna take care of this issue. So please don't think because one may think differently, I feel differently. I feel we should listen to you.
Well, in
I
all the
think I
emails,
did.
in all the
These
emails,
people have been up here, but I don't need to be attacked while I'm trying to.
in all the
Well, we're
emails
elected
between us about the
officials.
appeals, Maria, you have helped me. You have been pushing for the right thing. And in everything, all I've seen is you being attacked and everybody arguing with you.
That's normal.
So I
can take
appreciate
it. I
you.
have big shoulders.
Because you don't see behind the
Thank you.
scenes.
I don't talk to you.
I'm
behind
seeing
the
better
scenes.
examples right here in front of the children.
All right.
That's what I'm
Never.
Point of order.
Never ever.
Point of order.
Next.
Hi.
Hi.
I hate public speaking, but
there's a couple things. I'm gonna wear my PTO hat for a second.
Excuse me, can you say your name?
Heather Emerson, 25 Forest Court.
Thank you.
The basketball court has been finished and the fence is up. I need to speak with Matt at some point, email, conversation, call. The benches are built and I believe we're gonna,
Hopefully next Wednesday.
next Wednesday maybe, present them to Patrick Chamberlain's family. They're all ready to go. The court's being used every day. I see it every day.
Awesome.
So it looks awesome and it looks amazing out there. Then I'm gonna wear a parent hat. I'm gonna talk about your first grade for a second and changing from 4 teachers to 3. Some of the first grade parents are not here, they couldn't make it. They all texted me and emailed me and said, can you please go up and speak on behalf of us for a few minutes? I said, sure. When you're talking about behaviors, changing, first kindergarten, first grade, that's a big jump. They go from a full teacher and an EA in each one of their classrooms to a teacher most of the time unless an EA is needed. I work in first grade. Those kids are amazing, but they're little. Having a smaller size classroom will benefit them educationally, academically, behaviorally, to change what we're trying to change, what everybody's been trying to change, the academics and the behaviors. So I really feel strongly that going from 4 teachers to 3 teachers in the first grade will definitely let's make that grade your power grade. Let's see the change. Let's see the academic change. Let's see all the different things that we're trying to put in place for these kids. Let's start there. I mean, we have other things to work on, obviously, but let's start with that grade. As an EA, I work in the building. I work in the zones room a lot. It works on the elementary side, middle school. It wouldn't be the same. It has to be something different over there. Jermaine's amazing with the kids. So is some the BCBA that works in the room. She's amazing. She works with middle school kids too. So I see her in action every day. I've worked under some other people who are here, and they do an amazing job. They're really trying hard. We're all trying really hard to make a change. We're taking classes, we're learning things. I'm in school full time, so there's some big things happening with the new administration. And I can see an impact from 4 years ago when I started. So I'm proud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, do you have any PTO questions? Anything about the PTO? Coming up.
When is the next meeting?
June 2nd. Thank you.
If no one else would like to speak, I'd like to move to close public comment.
We'll close public comment at 5:53. Do we need to take a vote on that?
No. Do you need a vote?
No. Alright. Let's see. I don't know what on that.
I think actually
Projections.
budget is the next.
Enrollment, projections, and staffing. Yeah.
This is the agenda item that was just spoken on in regard to the first grade cohort. As you're aware, this current school year, our kindergarten class was unusually small. We had 42 students. So as part of the budget process, we had recommended that for next year that we adjust those that team from 4 teachers to 3 teachers, which would make class sizes from just over 10 or about 10 per class to 14 per class. I've included a chart on the document that's attached to board docs that outlines those projected class sizes K through 8. And as you can see, you know, all of the grade levels are at 4 teachers with the exception of the first grade class, which is 3 and has 14 students in each class, which is consistent with the other grade levels. That is our recommendation, is to reassign a teacher to the middle school level to act as a math interventionist to address some of that area of concern. We would do that through the reassignment process, where we look at certifications, whether there's an interest, and we already have that identified need of math intervention. So that teacher would be supporting all of our middle school grade levels, and it would allow us to provide some specialized math instruction that is currently we're unable to offer. So I will note that this is an annual process. So this is something that we would look at every year, and we do look at every year as part of our staffing analysis, where we project our enrollments, we look at our current staffing, where our needs are. In this instance, we saw a cohort that was significantly smaller than the other ones, so we are proposing adjusting the staffing to keep it in line with our other class sizes. And this is really something that we feel is practical and fiscally responsible, and it also continues to service those students. It maintains small class sizes, because we do value having these small class sizes. We do feel that does help us in our goal and really addressing some of these achievement gaps that we're working at. It also when we're doing that process, we're taking all factors into consideration. That might be whether there's the ratio of special education students in the classes, what type of intervention needs are necessary, and how sustainable that is in the preceding school years. So that was our approach and our recommendation for next year, and that's what we had explained during the budget process. Obviously, the school board has the ability to make any changes if you feel that a different approach might be more prudent.
So I thought about this a lot. I am not an educator. I'm not trying to say that I am, but I am a first grade parent at this moment. So I do feel like I have some familiarity with first grade and what that's like. I, under different circumstances, could see where this plan could be doable. But I think there's other ways to look at it, at least in the situation we're in now, that we could still keep that teacher there. First graders are 6, they're still very, very young. There is not the same EA support that there is in kindergarten. I can speak personally for my family, but I also can speak for many, many other families that we associate with. The transition from kindergarten to first grade is tough. There is a lot more social time, there's a lot more focus on educational academics in a play manner in kindergarten, and I think a lot of that changes in first grade. We talk about test scores and children thriving, and maybe it's just this one year, maybe it's just this one class, but I don't think that it would hurt them to keep the classes small. I have spent some time in the kindergarten classes this year as well, and the attention they're able to get because the classes are small, I think has been tremendously beneficial to them. I know that looking at the needs for interventionists, and math interventionists, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because this is just what I'm aware of as a parent, but I think there are 3 math interventionists total, and perhaps if they were broken up differently and shared, that could cover the needs. Example, perhaps one could do K through 2, one 3 through 5, one 6, 7, and 8, instead of separating them middle school and elementary school, and maybe that would alleviate some of the burden with only having one person in middle school and 2 people in elementary school. I know there's certifications and not everybody meets that, but that's another concern I have with this, is that this schedule essentially would be evaluated every year and follow this class, but you don't have the same teachers every year, so then what happens if you get to a grade and that teacher's not certified to do teach middle school, then what would we look at that year? And I think some of these things are making me nervous as a parent.
It's not necessarily that a first grade teacher would be the teacher reassigned, right? That's not.
Isn't that what this says?
No, the reassignment policy, as Matt was explaining, is that under the collective bargaining agreement, you look first to see who among the staff might be interested in switching grade levels, right? You're looking staff-wide. Then you go through a process of who has the certifications that would be eligible to make that transition. And ultimately, administration has the right to reassign.
Are there 3 math interventionists as Casey stated?
There are 2 at the elementary school essentially, and there's 1 currently at the middle school.
And we're currently down in interventionists, correct, in elementary school?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. One is serving as a kindergarten long-term sub.
I think I just wanna piggyback on some of the stuff that the other board member had mentioned. I have said from the beginning that they say it isn't removing a teacher, but it really is removing a teacher, and I think last year we did that, and we had to move one. I just feel like, you know what, yeah, the numbers are a little lower, but if I divvy them up, I'm looking at 11, 11, 11, 11, and when you read the state 1 to 11, they're saying that's what our school has. Is there a need? We have needs, and I think, the comment about the difference between kindergarten and first grade is a big difference. And to put in 14 in each room, and then that's not counting if we have 5 or 6 people move in, and they're moving in, right, we can't keep the house on the market. That's gonna change, and we cannot say it isn't, and yes, I know by looking at it, oh, it looks great, sure, take one out, it leaves it at 14. I am with the board member who spoke about, is that really what's good for the students, and is it really what's good for the school? And as far as moving an interventionist into the middle school, I think the middle school, like we said, is a big difference between the elementary and middle. Do we need the extra help in math? 100%. Look at the numbers in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They're upwards to 17 to 19 per class. Again, still under kind of what the state ratio is, but a lot. And I think that there's more that I would love to see as a board help with to bring the support we need, but not by taking it away from the first grade. And I've thought about this for a long time. I struggled with the preschool switching situation. I still do. So I just don't see the justification of moving, other than, cause we hear things out there and we're hearing, oh, they're gonna move that one because they're gonna take that one that they wanna take and throw her in the middle school end. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's out there. So again, not only a teacher taken out, but taken out, we're gonna move another teacher that is fabulous as well. So I can't agree with that, I'm sorry. And I know you have the right to request it, but as a board, I think we can decide together whether or not we think
that's how we led into the conversation. We
Yeah.
absolutely expected a
So
support
I also-
decision. We're also trying
It's
to balance
hard.
resources across K-8 in a limited budget and trying to address the needs that this board has been calling upon us to address for a long time, right? Which is to try to improve academics, and we've heard repeatedly that there are concerns about gaps at the middle school that aren't closing. So we're not gonna do that if we don't change anything. Again, if the board wants to keep it in first grade, that's what we'll do, and we'll continue to face the challenges we face, and we'll work on it together.
So I'm devil's advocate, this is a creative way to basically a means to an end, because we have been reiterating for as long as I've been a part of this board on test scores, middle school, we're behind, we're at 30%, all these other schools are at 80%, we need to do more, our kids need more help. We're not getting the staff isn't getting voted in that we need to offer these supports to the children. I understand I've had first graders, I understand, a 6-year-old is, just lightning in a bottle. But at the same time, if you look at this chart, which you guys can't see and I'm sorry, but if you look at this chart, the children last year had more children in the class than what's being presented here. And I understand as a parent that's having a child in first grade, I would rather have my kid in a class with 11 than a class of 14. But reality is that these numbers we're not at 17, we're at 14. Our projected numbers overall for this school has been dwindling for the last, 6 years. And if we need the support in the middle school, then we have to do something. And we need to borrow it from somewhere. So I just, basically what we're doing is we're not removing a teacher, we're repositioning a teacher to fill that role. And if we only have one math interventionist in the middle school, and she works her butt off. And if she could get some help, if our kids could get the extra help, then we could see the numbers increase. If that's what we care about, if we care about, data, we could see the numbers increase if we had another math interventionist. So I think this was just their creative way of trying to see where the gaps are. And I mean, if I had a child in first grade, I would want my kid to be in the smallest class possible to get the most attention. But at the same time, if you're looking at it overall, they're still not bad off. There are 14 per class when other classes are at 15, 17, and some are at 19, 18, 19. And kids could move into these other grades as well. I believe, what's our class cutoff? Is it 20?
There's no cutoff, there's recommended guidelines.
Recommended guidelines. What's the max of our recommended guidelines then?
So I believe at the middle school level it's 25, and at the elementary level it's 20.
Okay. So obviously, we would never wanna put 20 kids, elementary school kids together, but at the same time, we could easily say, no, we wanna keep everything the same, but if we're gonna focus on these data-driven numbers in the middle school, then we have to change something.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Right.
I think where I waver, and I don't know what the answer is that I agree with everything you're saying, but also these kids are moving up, so we do need to make those changes from middle school. We also need to make changes in the elementary school so that in 5-6 years, we're not having those same issues with that same grade level.
Right.
And even looking at this, and I mean, I assume these are based off, because this is next year's projections this year, but class around 15, 14. My son's class has 16 kids right now, so I don't know if this is off balance a little bit, or it's kind of guessing some kids might move around. And I know projections are based on, the best that we can do, and that changes.
The enrollments change
Right.
week to
But
week
even,
essentially, so it's.
From the top of Railroad here, 1.25 miles, there's 3 houses for sale, there's 2 houses just built. I think Maria was right, there's a lot of changes that we can't predict, we don't know who's coming into these places, but I know of 3 new kids in first grade just since January, and that's just impacting the handful of kids that I know. So I think these numbers do change a lot. There's also kids that move out and leave. I don't know.
I think everybody makes a great point.
We need to support both ends
yeah.
to get the achieved goals that we want, and I don't know how to do that. That's why I suggested maybe sharing the resources we have, if that's possible. I don't know if it is or not, and try to kind of meet in the middle so we can try to accommodate both at the same time, which is very hard in a default budget, and I understand that, and we need more resources.
So this is a great conversation, and thank you, because this is exactly what we struggle with, and you have a finite amount of resources, right? So if the question is, how do you utilize what you have in the best manner and most effectively to achieve those goals? I really appreciate this discussion, because this is what we had internally with Colleen, Tim, and their team, as to how we felt we could most effectively address some of our challenges, and that's where this proposal came from. It doesn't mean that there aren't other ways to address these issues, right? When we look at intervention support, we have a lot of need. So yes, we do have some existing interventionists, but they're at their capacity. We have to utilize them at the greatest need. That doesn't mean that there isn't additional need that we could address. There's gaps. So we felt, and I'm not saying that we're the 100% correct all the time, we felt that this was a good way to address it. There's no perfect answer. So ultimately, you as the board, you have to go with with the information that you have and what you feel is, is best for your community and your student body. But this is a good conversation. So I just wanted to I wanted to acknowledge that and thank you for that. So and that's something I look forward to when we go into budget season next year, and hopefully we can, when we do budget, we can kind of identify some of these, resources that we could potentially ask the community for next year, right? Because some of it is the fact that our budget has failed, 3 times in the last 5 years. So we have less and less for what, and we have these needs, to address with our students.
So is it okay to table this discussion while we try to figure out what our priorities are as far as this particular, or no?
You have to Friday, right?
I mean, it's not great from
I
a
know.
planning perspective for your administration and for parents. June's late,
Right.
for that.
Okay. So are you guys looking for a vote today, or?
Can Lisa ask some more questions?
Yeah.
Is there any way to open public comment, just getting somebody in? Kindergarten and math intervention, I just feel like I could bring
I
some.
don't have no problem with reopening it, Michelle, well. We've opened it twice. It's one more.
Alright,
It's just quick.
It's hard,
Yeah.
we have
Okay.
a lot of
yeah, no, I mean,
discussion.
I'd rather have input.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm Kelly McGinnis, I'm kindergarten this year. I was put there this year from math intervention, so I feel like I have some to bring to the table. Never having taught kindergarten before, I walked into a classroom of 10 students. I had taught first grade for 18 years prior to that, had class sizes anywhere between 14 and 18, and I will tell you the difference of 4 students is huge at that age. What I have been able to do, as I'm trying to figure out how to teach kindergarten, the kids in front of me, only having 10 of them, we have accomplished so much. We are finishing the foundations program, the math program, where normally we maybe don't get through everything because lessons take longer and you have more kids struggling. I know the kids in and out. I feel like I could sit down right now, write a report card for each and every one of them without looking at a report, looking at a test that they took. I know every single one of them. I know exactly where they're at any given time. Groupings, work, it's more of a family atmosphere. I mean, we are just like a little unit, and not that I wasn't like that with kids of 14 or 18 in my class, but something about these small classes at that young age, I can't believe the progress they've made, to be honest with you. My kids are reading, they're acing foundations tests, math tests, they're getting things, and I've never seen, I would say 90%, so 9 out of 10 kids are just flying through kindergarten.
On the other side, being a math interventionist, I feel like if you take a math if you take away a first grade classroom, the class sizes get bigger, but the intervention, if somebody's moved over to the middle school, intervention decreases for the elementary side. So now you've got a bigger class but maybe less support. But I like Casey's idea. I think to think of, okay, we have a school district with 3 math interventionists, not 2 on the elementary side, 1 on the middle school. Now if you take 1 over to the middle school, you've got 2 on the middle school, 1 in the elementary side. And I know myself and the other math interventionists struggled to see all the kids we needed to see with 2 of us on the elementary side. I know the middle school is struggling seeing 4 grades all on our own. So if there's some creative way of thinking of how to have 3 across the whole district, I don't know. But just knowing both sides, I think, I don't know, again, the difference between 10 and 14, it doesn't sound like a lot as a teacher, it's huge at that age. So I just thought, having been in both of those positions, I would just share my personal experiences with you.
Thank you.
So thank you.
That was very helpful. So after hearing Kelly, now I see why, Cal, give me 1 second. After hearing Kelly, now I can see why Hampton Falls and Northampton are at an accelerated rate because of the smaller classes allowing the attention. And if Seabrook could get the support, the budget support to have an additional teacher in some of these tougher grades, just think of like what our kids could do, you know? So it's like really important to pass the budget, and I don't know, it's tough because you wanna help the middle school, but you also don't wanna take away from a class, especially at such a young age where they need somebody.
What are we doing with the money for the Spanish teacher that we're not gonna replace?
It was cut from the budget.
Well, actually,
See,
can I
we just
touch
cut-
base on that?
Oh,
Mine?
Sorry, I didn't know
Public
that's
comment.
public comment.
Okay, so I'm glad that this came up because
Kelly, can you announce yourself, please?
Kelly from the 96 family.
Thank you.
On the 13th, you guys were presented with the default budget to cut the Spanish teacher. Nope, sorry, that was on the 18th. So March 18th, you were presented with that. On the March 13th, which was actually a week before that, the state took a vote and they passed to do the cap on the budget for the school. At the end of the month in March, you guys had a joint board meeting and Meredith brought to your attention that there was only 3 of you there though, that Seabrook is going to have a huge issue because it's gone to the Senate, right? Senate.
It's in the House right now.
Yeah, it's in the House, but they retained it, so they're still discussing it. But the whole point is that Meredith had mentioned that a school like Seabrook is gonna have a problem putting these positions back into place if they're cut. So I think that you guys made a decision to table, or should I say not table, but to take a year off from the Spanish. But I think it should be brought to your attention that you're not gonna be able to put that back in the budget, as Meredith said, but didn't tell the board members this here, even though it was already known. So I think that when you make your decision here, just keep in mind that if we do, because of the high preschool numbers we have, they do carry over into kindergarten, and then they do carry over into 1st grade, you're gonna have a really hard time if they put that cap in there, getting a teacher back, because yes, you're gonna have the interventionist, but if you have the interventionist in the middle school, are you then gonna take them away from the middle school where they need the help to put them back in the 1st grade because you can't hire them because there's a cap? So I mean, I think that when you're making these decisions, and I'm not lecturing, because God knows I wasn't perfect, you wanna make sure you get all the information. Because before that Spanish teacher was brought to you to be cut, you should have been told that the state was doing a cap, and it passed on the 13th, when you took the vote on the 18th. And I know that was said to you at the joint board, because I watched it. So just keep in mind that when the budget's cut and the teachers are gone, you're probably not gonna get them back, and it was said in a meeting at the school that we all know once they're gone, it's not as easy to get them back. And the staff is aware of that. I think that's kind of scary for the teachers because, they're probably not looking forward to that cap, especially when the decisions are being made without all the information.
Thank you.
we'll close public comment at 6:20. Any other, so what did we decide on the enrollment projections for first grade?
So it's just a discussion, but I feel if someone wanted to make a motion to not, because when we did the budget, that's what we agreed upon, is to take the first grade teacher out and for a math interventionist, so if someone feels like they don't want that to happen, I believe a motion needs to be made, am I correct?
Okay, I'll make the motion to keep the first grade teacher where she's at.
I'll second it.
Motion by Maria, seconded by Casey, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Maria, Casey, and unanimous?
Aye, yeah.
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 And can I just say a little bit about something I didn't mention? For years coming in here, not as a school board member, but as a parent, a taxpayer. For years, we always hear the horror stories of our middle school, right? And we're changing that, and we're looking for better, and we want better. And I remember standing up there, and I think Rebecca might have been at that meeting when I said, just remember, like, things don't start in 5th grade. Kids don't learn to read in 5th grade. They don't learn math in 5th grade. They learn to get better at it. But it all starts on the elementary end with that training, and to take away anything for that right now would be such a disservice to our kids. So that was one of my biggest things that kind of kept sticking out. I don't want to take away right now. Our kids need more than taking away. They don't need it. So I hope everybody appreciates us moving on the way we are, and we'll figure out the intervention for the middle school, because yes, they do need help too.
I think also just
Thank you.
the 6 years that I've had students here, there's been a lot of different administrators, and I feel like the last couple of years, I have seen as a parent a good collaboration between the elementary school and the middle school. And I think when I started my parenting journey here, they were just so separated from each other, and it didn't make sense to me. And I've seen a lot of coming together, and hopefully, because I think, like I said, I agree with what Lacey said too. It's just hard because it's coming out both ends, and we need more and we don't have more. And I also encourage the community to think about this. We want better for our students, we want better test scores, we want better academics. We need to pay for those positions, but with the resources we have, as the two schools have been coming together and collaborating, hopefully that's something we can also look at. And if there are times that, you know, scheduling, credentialing, all the things that are needed, and we're able to share those in the temporary while we're in default budget, and we're trying to, you know, support the kids coming up so they don't need the services when they're older, and then support the kids that are older so that they're leaving and going off to Winnacunnet in a better spot, that we can continue the collaboration and sharing those as best that we can in this situation as a parent.
And I think too, if I could just one more thing, if you don't mind. I think in a place where we see teachers leaving all the time, for whatever reason, that teacher that we were like looking at to put somewhere else, they could get up and leave and go somewhere else, and then we're stuck. We're stuck without a teacher in the classroom and without an interventionist, so that's another key piece, because teachers are hard to find. So, just another thing. Just in case anybody wonders why out there we're doing what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Alright, any other questions before we go to Spanish update?
Nope.
Spanish update.
Spanish update. So, it was a difficult decision to make when we had to cut that position, because as you all said, and we would agree, when you take a position away, it's really hard to get it back. At that time, we did not have a resignation. Since you approved that, hopefully, after discussion now with your blessing, we would like to take the phys ed position. We had a resignation in phys ed. We would like to combine health and phys ed had a conversation with the FACS teacher and asking her if she could potentially lift some of the nutrition units to cover that portion of health. So it would be a health PE combined position. We would use the position which was the previous AZEP position and put Spanish back into the middle school. We recognize that it's a challenge just to have Spanish in 8th grade. So we would like to look at potentially having Spanish 5 to 8 in the schedule. We have a draft schedule. We're gonna talk to the teachers who are on the scheduling committee and teacher leadership team. So we can't really share what that looks like, but potentially students across the middle school would have exposure to Spanish, see what the efficacy of that is. I know other schools in the SAU, they're lucky because they have 75 kids in the whole school, so everybody gets that Spanish. So, we know that just getting Spanish in 8th grade, they still take Spanish when they go to high school. Ideally, Spanish should really start in elementary school. So an ideal situation, that would be fabulous. So, we proposed that to you, we've had conversations about it, and we hope that is something that you will see as being effective for kids in Seabrook Middle School.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for putting that
Good
together.
info.
Yeah,
Thank you. Not really.
Very creative and thoughtful.
And I know it's tough with the default budget and we really gotta push to,
And if there's anything
Get
you can
more.
do with resignations, money-wise, for the intervention for the middle school, I think we really need to support. The one we have is awesome. She's not ran out the door yet, she still stays with us and works with our curriculum person, side by side, helping kids every day too. So,
Awesome.
alright, thank you. Moving on to new business, federal grant, general assurances.
Yes, they are attached. These are a requirement to be submitted to the State Department of Education on June 1st. The board all received a message from the New Hampshire School Board Association earlier this week recommending that boards hold off on approval until the week of May 19th or after. But it is up to the board how you want to proceed.
So NH, why for the delay? Why are they recommending the delay?
Because there are language changes in the general assurances that reflect changes made at the federal level that are the subject of litigation, and the recommendation from the School Board Association was to wait until there was more information about the litigation.
Could we move this to the special meeting and do this first thing and then move on to a non-public
what's the special meeting?
next Wednesday?
Huh?
Next Wednesday, we have a special meeting.
What's that for?
I emailed you.
Non-public?
It's
Yeah.
a non-public. But my idea is if that's the recommendation, we'll be meeting anyway for a non-public, if we can have a short public meeting in order to get this.
If you add that, you will need to add public comment as well,
30
to the
minutes.
agenda. Yes, but you already have parties scheduled, so it might be something that you would wanna do at the end,
Right.
Oh,
we
okay.
if you choose to.
Yeah, I'd rather do it at the end because.
That's great, but just so we can utilize that time, afterwards. If that's,
And it highlights in here what the changes are.
Correct, yeah.
and that will be updated if there's any of those anticipated changes.
And then if we have questions in between time,
Alright, perfect.
'cause
Do you need a motion to postpone that, or no? Okay.
alright, so with that, award of bid Chromebooks.
Thank you. So the bid process has concluded for the annual Chromebook purchase. Bids were sent directly to 6 qualified vendors and 2 submitted bids. So we are recommending award of bid to New Era Technology in the amount of $25,777.50. I'll also note that funding for this purchase is from the operating budget for next year, so 25-26. And we did budget $28,000, so it did come in a little over $2,000 less than we had budgeted.
Do we need a motion to accept that? Or
Yes,
is-
please.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to accept the bid from New Era Technology for the Chromebooks.
Alright, I need a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Lacey, seconded by Casey, all in favor? Aye.
And I'm just gonna vote no, and I wanted to go on record if you don't mind. I feel at this time that that's something that we could have maybe done without for a year, cause I know we've had to do it, in other situations with the default budget. Personally, I'd rather see less Chromebooks, but that's me, and more pencil and paper is a great thing, and, that's the reason I'm voting no on that, cause I think we maybe could have won a year not doing that, but that's my opinion.
Right, thank you. Now we're gonna move on to FOSC MOUs.
Yes, so this is the memorandum of understanding with Friends of Seabrook for the SAS program operation for the upcoming year. That agreement was rewritten last year through administration and Friends of Seabrook. We do not have any recommended changes for the upcoming year.
You want to speak on it, Michelle?
Oh, go ahead.
So, the memorandum of understanding, we've heard from the community, we know the program's great, but I feel strongly that we had other programs, and I know Tim had mentioned at one time, we had YMCA, we had C-Stars, people that can come in and also help with the after-school programs. I know we need a buy-in to some point, but if you read this MOU, it really, it utilizes staff in the office, it utilizes a lot of school things that we could be utilizing for other things. And I just have always been concerned about that, cause it's a nonprofit and they make a lot of money. I mean, when you can pay an administrator $90,000 a year for an after-school program and an assistant as well, I think that they needed to do a little bit of fandangling, and the thing that I had suggested a few years back, before I was on the board, is there are kids that cannot afford after-school programming that need help, and if they went by the guidelines, say for the free and reduced lunches, to let them come for free, but then the people that are making $100,000 to $200,000 to $300,000 a year, maybe they could contribute a little bit toward that for their student, to take a little bit less from the school. And I know we've taken away $35,000 2 years in a row, because we really, as a school, should not be using the school budget to give money to a nonprofit. They have a huge amount of money that comes in. I think a little bit of management and maybe speaking with them to say, hey, what can you give, how can you make, how can we do this different? And, cause we need the after school programs, parents need a place for the children to go so they can work, and I get that. But at the same time, how much of a buy-in should we be given of school time and office staff and staff in the building, and we give a lot. And I think we should be reaching out, asking for other entities. YMCA, they didn't charge. C-Stars was excellent, and they all just kind of disappeared. And now we have one, which is great, but I think that really needs to be looked at. And I know every year we just say, okay, we'll just approve it for another year, but that's just my 2 cents.
I think that 35,000 isn't here anymore.
No, it isn't. No, you took it out last year. No.
So, what caught my attention when you were talking, Maria, is you said that they're making $90,000, the director and the assistant director?
It's a lot of money, yeah, that's it. So I guess the way to say it is the grant is more heavy weighted toward administration versus students. maybe say it that way a little safer, but I just think there's more that we could do to work to keep the program, but not, on the taxpayers' dime and the building and the staff in our building, to be utilized as much as they are, and I mean, we give offices, supplies, you name it. If you look at this MOU, I mean, sometime maybe we should have it read aloud so everybody can see the buy-in with that. It's a lot. I've never seen so much done with a nonprofit, that gets a hefty grant every year, and I wanna say it's like 500,000, but I don't wanna be marked as it, but it's a lot of money, and it comes every single year. And the buy-in could be that we in kind simply let them use classrooms or whatever it is, but to be given that's a big MOU.
So it says, in the MOU, it says for the Seabrook Middle School and Seabrook Elementary School, the following apply. So this is like our portion of what we need to provide for SAS. It says provide classroom space as arranged with principals, storage space and all other appropriate space to accommodate the after-school program. To provide custodial support, office support, and other appropriate support as arranged with principals to ensure the program runs smoothly and that children are safe after school. And then 3 is support the voluntary employment of Seabrook School District staff by the Seabrook Adventure Zone. So that, I think those 3 items are the only, things that were held to that standard, and, do you both work with them to what you're gonna give up as far as office space or storage space?
We meet with them.
We do, and we meet with them regularly. I think it looks like more on paper than what it actually feels like as an administrator. I think they are very helpful. They're the first to step up and offer resources. But right now they have a less than desirable classroom space in the elementary side that doesn't have windows. It's really serves just as much for storage as it does for a place for their staff to be able to check in, check out, have their
That's that corner
belongings.
room, yeah, okay.
I think we had checked out last summer, it was about 110 degrees in there. It's nowhere that I would necessarily want to put our staff and kids throughout the whole school day, but it works well for in terms of the location. But in addition to that, they're, like I said, they're always the first to offer support and help. I think this year I have fielded significantly less complaints from our staff in terms of how the program's running. So those regular meetings that we're having with Forrest certainly are helping. But honestly, I have nothing but good things to say about the program this year, and again, that this looks like more than, I guess, what it feels like as an administrator. That's just my 2 cents.
Back in the day, they used to utilize some parts of the cafeteria too, which was an open room area. I don't know if that's helpful or not to help with this classroom with no windows. That's not really good for kids.
Kids aren't usually in there that often. They do use classroom spaces for the actual, so that's more like their office space.
Oh, okay, so they're not using it for the classroom?
No.
Okay.
Do we need to take action?
Yes, need a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the 2025-2026 memorandum of understanding between Friends of the Seabrook community and the Seabrook Middle School and Seabrook Elementary School.
We have a motion by Casey, anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jen, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I interject just for a minute before we move on to the next item? Does the board want to take a vote on the Spanish staffing plan? I think it would make sense for you to adopt that since it's a change.
Okay,
Yeah.
I need a motion for the
Motion.
Spanish.
Motion Maria.
Motion by Maria,
I'll second.
What's the motion gonna say?
I think to
To accept the recommendation from the middle school principal, right?
Thank you.
yep, sounds good.
Thank you. Second?
Aye.
And then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor? Yes?
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't
thank
think we fully wrapped our heads around needing to vote on that, and we'll move forward.
So I appreciate that. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Meredith. All right, Title I update, Seabrook Middle School.
Yeah, so I shared some information out with the board, which is attached in this agenda last week, regarding Title I. So Seabrook has been approved at the middle school level to be a school-wide Title I program. It's currently been a targeted assistance program. So the FAQ that's included kind of lays out some of the differences between them. In a school-wide program, which is what we've had in place at the elementary school for a number of years, any student is eligible for Title I support and resources. At the middle school, that's currently a targeted assistance program, which means that only students who meet certain eligibility requirements can receive Title I assistance. The school's eligibility for Title I funding is determined by the number of students participating in the free and reduced lunch program. To be eligible for a school-wide program, the school must have at least 40% of its students participating in the free or reduced lunch program. SMS has crossed over that threshold. It's at 42% students this year and is expecting to be closer to 46% next year. So it's a time to be able to make that transition, which will allow the middle school to use its Title I funds to improve student achievement throughout the entire school, so that every student is benefiting from the added programs and services.
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Motion by Maria, seconded by Lacey. All those in favor? Aye. 2025 LEA Special
So
Education.
good news, we covered that in reports.
Yeah,
We're already done. We're moving right on to F.
Okay. Acceptance of gift from Kim and Joe Army.
I will make a motion, go ahead, unless you wanna explain the gift, but I was just gonna make a motion, yeah.
The funds will be used to purchase an all-in-one washing machine and dryer. Our nurse often sends changes of clothes home, so on and so on, so that we would have a washer and dryer.
Perfect.
Excellent.
And I will, make a motion to accept that donation.
Second.
Motion by Lacey, seconded by Maria. All those in favor? Aye. Next donation, acceptance gift of Crime Line for the Hamptons. Purpose of donation would be for the 8th grade Washington DC trip.
For 2,500.
Excellent.
I'll make a motion to accept, the donation from the Crime Line.
Motion by Lacey, seconded by Maria. All those in favor?
Aye.
And thank you very much for that gift, both of all of these gifts. We have another one from the Lions Club. That was $3,000 for the 8th grade Washington DC trip. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the donation from the Lions Club.
Motion by Lacey.
I'll second.
I was just saying, let's keep it consistent, but
Let's give Jen
seconded
a-
by Jen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very generous donations.
Does that mean we get
some money back?
As a parent, listen, I hustled. I hustled. It's tiny piece,
I think I'm gonna send my other one.
Yeah.
We'll take them.
Oh, this is null and void?
No, this one is still active.
Michelle, can I introduce myself and get a clarification, not opening public comment, but I need to ask a clarification question on something you guys said.
Okay.
You can, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. What we're here for.
That's okay, I don't wanna keep you. Hi, I'm Sarah Trahan, I'm a teacher at Winnicott High School, but I am the president of the Teachers Association. Hello, for those of you that don't know me. So I was just curious because you guys brought up a personnel issue about the special hearing next week. and they are supposed to get, per our contract, a public hearing, and it sounds like that is not going to happen, so that's why I'm just double checking that will happen at the special meeting.
There's more than one thing going on.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to make sure, because there was like a melting of two, so I just wanted to make sure that was still gonna happen, that there was gonna be a public hearing for that.
Yes.
I hope so.
Okay, I'm just checking, because that's not what I interpreted, so I just wanted to make sure. Yes.
On the board,
Okay.
yes on
We have
everybody.
2.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you, appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Okay.
We just need to accept this, correct? I make a motion to accept the resignation of Jay-Z. Oh, okay.
Joanne Zimmerman,
Joanne Zimmerman, our third grade special ed case manager.
5th grade, right?
Yes, yeah.
A motion by Casey,
I'll second.
second by Lacey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
and I believe you need a non-public to discuss the legal counsel.
Yeah, so I will, make a motion to enter non-public, under RSA 91A3, 2C.
Motion
At 45 PM.
At 6:45 PM.
Yep.
Yep.
and second.
Jen?
Yes, Lacey.
good.
Oh, we're good.
Okay. So we need a motion to end the non-public session.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Lacey,
I'll second.
seconded by Jen, all in favor?
Aye.
And I will make a motion to, ask the chair to handle legal.
I need a second.
I'll second.
So motion by Lacey, seconded by Casey, all in favor? Aye.
Before I go, I just wanted to say something. I'm fine with you handling legal, but if you could keep the board, aware of whatever it is going on
Yeah.
individually and the whole board, so that there's no surprises, like.
Right, I usually email the whole board.
Cause that's how we handled it. I mean, we were,
Yeah.
nobody got a surprise, everybody knew.
No, and
Alright,
I usually don't email until we nail down a certain date or something, so
good.
I can't jump the gun when I don't know when things are, so.
Okay.
So that vote
All in
again,
favor, yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Tim just asked me to raise, they're conducting preschool interviews this week, so he is looking for someone to attend Thursday morning and Friday afternoon, Thursday at 8:30 and Friday at 1, if anyone is
Does it have to be the same for both?
Ideally.
Okay, yeah, I could only do Friday, I couldn't do Thursday.
Thursday at 8:30, what was it?
Friday at 1.
I can 100% do Thursday.
It's tough.
I couldn't confirm Friday yet. I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Well, I mean, at least we have two, if we
Yeah,
make it
I
one,
guess
at
if you
least.
can't, then Casey could do Thursday and Lacey could do Friday.
Yeah, I'm out at noon on Fridays.
Doesn't leave you
I have
well
two.
poised to vote in the committee, but you'll at least be able to share information with the board.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I can let you know, but
Yeah.
let's see about getting that covered.
Yeah.
Alright, so Casey Thursday, Lacey Friday. It's Casey and Lacey's.
Just call her Cassie.
Don't start.
Jen, you're on.
Motion to adjourn, please. At 7:05 PM.
Second by
Jen,
Lacey. Yep. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.